Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and the subject of today's video is making preparations to weld up a plasma cutter table. And I don't really have room to store it, which is why I'm going to make it 2 foot by 3 foot. And another thing is, like, I still don't have room to store that, so I'm setting up a lift to pull it up to the top of the garage and store it up there. And so the most of this video will be concerning attempting to build the little hoist to lift that thing up. I've ordered various and sundry things. I've got a boat winch rated at 600 pounds. I've got a Lincoln power window motor that I'm going to hope to run that boat winch with, because I don't want to have to crank it by hand, and various and sundry things on order for the project. Now, I've been proceeding on, now that I've got the Evolution saw, I've been moving on cutting some of the pieces for the table, cutting them to the right size. Some of them I even got the right size, and but there's no point in welding them together yet until I get a place to store whatever I weld together, if you see what I mean. So let's get on with it and see what I'm doing and see what the holdups are and see where I'm really confused at. Got in some cups in the mail pretty much the same day. Now, this is not my cup. Well, it is my cup, but it's not my channel cup. This is a double boost cup. That guy came in, and then this is my cup, and it's my channel cup, and it's got the expected logo, same usual suspects, and on the back my slogan right there. And I've already been drinking coffee out of it, but if you don't have a redneck coffee cup, you really need to get one or two or 3 or 4 or maybe a whole set, and it wouldn't hurt to get a double boost cup too, but get mine first. Alright, so I got 2 boards spanning 2 different rafters, and one of them's got the eye hooks in it already, but the other one doesn't. Let me zoom in on that one if I can. Yeah, you can't see the eye hooks anyway. Now then, you can see the hooks, and you can see the bolts. I had to put 2 hooks like that on the other side, and they should hold the weight of a welding table. I may even put 4 more screws. I might put one on that beam right there, or a couple, but for sure I'm going to have to screw 2 into this guy. And I can tell you, it's hot up there, and this is just February, so imagine if I were working up there in June or July. Okay, so there's the eye bolts screwed in up there and ready and waiting for the next step, which will be chain and pulley and things like that. That's yet to come. And here's a part of the solution of my problem, is that boat winch and the cable that goes right up there to a hook. That'll pull the welding table upwards out of the way, and then I'll have to put a few chains up there to latch it down so it can't go anywhere. And of course, I guess, if you expect it to depend on the brake on that boat winch, that might be okay, but I'd rather have some chains. As you can see, this guy's at home, and I've got wheels under there. So there you can see them sticking out. There's wheels with brakes. So I'm happy. I've still got all the room that I had when I started, and I got a saw too, and I can just pull it out of there in the middle of the floor and cut stuff, and then run it back over there after I clean up the chips. They're not Doritos though. Alright, this motor arrived today and it's got a 9-tooth gear on it. It's I think it's a seat motor for a Lincoln starting at 82 up to 90 something, but I don't know that. It could be a window motor. So it's one or the other. It's either a seat motor or a window motor, but I think it was a seat. Doesn't really matter. It's got a gear on it, and obviously it's going to be easy enough for me to attach gears to it if that's not the right gear. So let's just go ahead and take a little look at this thing. This is my winch to lift my plasma table, which I don't have yet. But when I get through making it, that winch is going to lift it up. And this gear I don't think it's anywhere near the same pitch or anything, which means that this gear down here won't be anywhere near the same pitch either. But we can put a gear out here that matches this one. All we got to do is make it, right? Provided I got the right gear cutters. And we'll put the gear on the outside here and let it run this thing up and down. In fact, I could put a rather bigger gear than this one and gear it down just a little more. I'll go and get a power supply and we'll hook this thing up and see how fast it turns. Who knows? I might have to get a little speed controller for it, but we'll see. You know a guy's working above his pay grade when it takes 2 crimping tools to hook up 2 tiny little 3-inch pieces of wire. I came in here wearing my jacket, which our English-speaking cousins call an anorak. Yeah, I know. The more English words I learn, the more confused I get. So, it was too hot. But my short sleeve shirt makes it too cold, so I'm back wearing the welding sleeves. There you go. There's no hope for rednecks. Alright, I got the battery charger plugged in, and I guess it's on charge or start or something. Anyway, it's making 12 volts. And we'll see what this little motor looks like when we when we put some power to it. Well, it doesn't look like anything, does it? It didn't move at all. I wonder what caused that problem. Well, I don't see how a DC motor could have a polarity problem, but we'll turn it around. Nothing happened. Okay. Did I get sold a dud? Back to the drawing board. I'll see you guys in a minute. Mystery solved. On charge it wasn't putting out enough juice to make the motor run, but I got it on start. It should start a big old truck. You know, we'll see what the motor does on start. I can get things out of my way here. Kind of truck it on somewhat, isn't it? Okay, so I'll need to gear it down a little bit because I'm pretty sure we don't want that cable on that winch to move that fast. But that's a good sign, and I'll pull the little gear off and see what I can learn about it, and then I'll let you know. Now, just supposing this gear is made under imperial measurements, the diametral pitch would be the number of teeth over the diameter, which would be 9.78 according to that, which would you'd round, I'm sure, to 10. And then again, this may be a metric gear, in which case I got to go look up and see how you figure that. What I've got here are a couple of gears that I made a while back, maybe last year or something, and they mesh together real well, as you can see by looking at them. They're meshing, and they are DP 16, diametral pitch 16, 14.5 degree pressure angle. So in the trying to figure out what this guy is here, I started looking in the Boston Gear catalog. This is from 1959, but all the information is still the same. If you come into here on about page, oh, not there, over there, here on page 9, I'll hold it, they sell this gauge for gears, $10. Now in 1959, I think the average refinery worker was making about $1.50 an hour, so that gauge would be about a day's pay. And here is a DP16 gauge. On one side it's got 20-degree pressure angle, the other side it's got a 14.5. So if we take this guy and get where I can show it on the camera, and you can see that the gauge fits my gear quite well. It matches up to those teeth. I can hold it straight for you. And that's on that gear, and it does just as well on this gear right here. So I measured that gear and knowing the number of teeth and everything, and I get a diameter pitch of about 12. 11 point something or another, 11.9 something or 11.6, I don't remember exactly. So I've got this gauge here for a 12 pitch. So we try the 20-degree pressure angle, and it doesn't look to me like it comes anywhere near to fitting that gear. So we'll flip it over to the 14.5 degree, and it comes kind of close. I don't know if that's close enough, but I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cutter to cut a 12 DP gear, 14.5 degree pressure angle. It's either that or machine this gear off of the nylon gear and make another one to go on it. But I'm reasonably convinced to get the cutter, try making a gear, and see if it'll work right with that. This is a neat little set of, neat gauge here. Got a lot of different pitches. Alright, so there's no point in me welding together the plasma table until I'm able to hoist it up in the top of the garage out of the way so I can park the truck in there. So this is going to be the hold up for the next, I don't know how long, because when I order a gear cutter it'll probably come from China, and there'll be a whole month, which means I'll have to find something else to do in the meantime. Well, squares and rectangles having 4 corners, this is one of the 4 corner pieces. The legs will stick up in there like that, and they will, I'm going to have them fold all the way up, which this isn't going to do it because I got end mills in the way. But this will fit in here, it'll fold up where it's straight up like that. I can put a pin in it. I'll put a pin in it here, I'll put a pin in it here, and it'll hold good. Now I may have to cut a little bit off this corner so so it'll turn, but we can do that without a lot of trouble. And then again, I may put the pin far enough over that this guy can go in there, kind of leaning out some. If I did that, I wouldn't need anything to make it clear the corner. I'll think on that while I'm doing the next piece. Alright, so there we go. There's all 4 of the corners cut. I got careless on one of them. I was trying to put the seam in the bottom, and this one I put it in the side, so I had to go back and cut the seam out with the end mill. And after it all got done, I thought, well, if I had been thinking, I would have put the seam up here on the top, and it wouldn't have been on any of the sides anywhere. It would have been completely and totally out of there. But it's not going to hurt anything where it's at, so I guess sometimes you need to stop and think twice Well, this is it for the day. I'm going to go in and clean hands up. Well, before I go in, I got to clean up all my chips and stuff and pick up my toys. But then I'm knocking off for the day. All right. Well, now, in every family, there's somebody that makes the, the financial big time, doing better than everybody else. And Bubba's family's not any different. He's got a cousin that's a lawyer. Now, when you're a lawyer, you get to put Esquire on the end of your name. That's what that ESQ is on those eviction notices you got. ESQ stands for Esquire. Yeah. Anyway, they're the only people that are allowed to put that on the end of their name unless you're just pretending. Anyway, Bubba Esquire went to bed one night and woke up, and there he was standing at the pearly gates in front of St. Peter, and he says, "Hey," he says, "what the heck am I doing here?" He says, "I'm too young to be here. What's going on?" And St. Peter says, "Well, now," he says, you died." And Bubba Esquire says, but I'm only 54 years old. I'm too young to die." St. Peter says, "Well," he says, "it's never happened before that we had somebody too early." He says, "I'll go check your records." He says, "Exactly what's your job?" Bubba Esquire says, "Well, I'm a lawyer." So St. Peter digs through his records and he says, "Yep." He says, "Bubba Esquire, I got your card right here." He says, "You just simply died of old age." Bubba says, "But that can't be." He says, "I'm just 54 years old." And St. Peter says, "Well," he says, "I don't know about that." He says, "But we took your invoices and added up all the hours you billed, and you're 108 years old." I got this from Pierre, one of the three monkeys up in Canada. Of course, in his version, it was St. Pierre. I kid you not. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.